Oh, there we go. Indeed. Aye.
Your chair is so loud.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Here they come.
All right.
Right. Okay.
Well, welcome to a hobby hang. Well, I guess technically a members stream hobby hang. It's not exclusively for members, but it is featuring a member, Warpforge.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a semi-regular, sort of becoming regular thing. I am not opposed at all to regular hobby streams. It is how
Yeah.
armies get finished, after all.
Yep, indeed. I am just. Yeah. This is where it's going to get interesting.
You said you're working on projects for your
Yep.
Apocalypticon?
Yep. So basically, no, absolutely. So currently, I am going to do some painting because I want to paint this guy because he's been. I built him back in 8th edition. He's only just received his undercoat this week, so I just start painting him. And it's like, it's a jump lord at the end of the day. It's going to be a bit of fun. This guy's my Caraxus, is my not Huron, Night Lord. I'd say proxy, I guess. What I'm trying to do today with him is I'm trying to decorate the base with the Dead Sisters bits and have a flock of dead, a swarm of bats, so that he's got his pet, quote unquote pet. But I have
a little bat familiar, a little buddy.
Indeed.
I like it.
Of course. I mean, I've got to have something. Yeah, this is going to be a lot harder. Hang on. What if I was just to take the entire rock off?
This is how you figure out the best composition for your characters.
Yeah.
I'll point
absolutely.
That out. What's going on the menu today? Asks Matt Nolan. We are, well, I guess Warpforge just explained, working on some character conversions. I'll be working on some Stormcast. Basically getting this squad of sword bros together.
That's fair.
Yep. I would encourage everyone else who's hobbying in chat to also share what they have going on. It is about the hobby camaraderie, people. Hold on, I want to try and fix my lighting. It was strobing out earlier, so I had to use the warm setting on these lights I have, and I despise it. I prefer my lights to be cool, not warm.
Yeah.
I feel like you get a better accurate read of your colors too.
Absolutely.
The leader of this squad looks like He-Man, which is a Kit Bash I'm very fond of.
Nice.
I think he's pretty dashing.
Yes, I'm going to be bold, I'm going to be daring, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to glue these bats on top of already undercoated models, and I'll just have to respray them. They'll be fine.
It makes a huge difference. You have to psych yourself up before you do any irrecoverable damage to your model for the purposes of conversions. And I find psyching yourself up, boosting your own confidence, makes it a bit easier.
Oh yeah.
I don't have your workspace on stream by default.
No worries.
If you want to show something, just give me a heads up and I'll flip the switch.
Yeah, no worries. Complete empty cells. There we go. And so Caraxus now has his pet bats. They are literally in mid-flight over his own wing. It adds a lot of height to the model, but honestly, I just don't care. If-
Rule of cool.
it, exactly, rule of cool. If
Yeah.
people really want to get like, oh, the wing of a demon prince means I can shoot it, I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna turn around and go, say, who's gonna tell him? Yeah, that is very, very good. Once it definitely hasn't ruined the model, it just means that because when I sprayed them, I sprayed them on the old Pringles can. So most of it is primed, but underneath it's a little bit shaky. So all that means to me is I just, when I go and respray them again, spray his underbelly, and then I spray the bats, and that should be okay. Worst comes to worst, I get the airbrush out and I just spray the black on. Yeah.
No, when in doubt, always repaint.
Exactly.
You can always repaint, worst case scenario.
Indeed.
Hopefully it never comes to that, but I've definitely repainted a fair share of things that I've been called crazy for doing so. But look, the model was better for it.
Indeed. I feel that all too well. I wonder. Ooh, hang on. I have an idea. Right. Okay, hang on. Okay, right. This idea works if I can find materials. Oh, I don't want to burn glue. Will it work? I guess it might.
Gingerbread Man says I did get some new money though. I'll be able to buy myself some new plastic cracks soon.
That's what I like to hear.
I'm gonna lower your volume just a touch, Warpforge. Chat, let me know if the volume is too low now.
No.
Or if it's not. I'm sensing it was a bit off balance, but I could be wrong.
That's no worries. No worries at all.
You got the Dremel going there?
Oh. No. Oh, well. So I have an electric drill. So you know how people drill holes in the barrels and stuff? It takes me seconds of this. I need to make an entire video on this because I think I'm sitting on gold. But this is just a jewelry drill.
Oh yeah, definitely make a video on that. I'd watch it. I'm looking for a hobby drill that is reasonably priced.
Yeah, this cost me about, I'd say about 30 quid at most. You can get them off Amazon very easily.
Good to know. Yeah, I've been using the ancient GW pin vise for a while, and it's painstaking at times, dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one, absolutely. Like I don't like to toot my own horn, but when I say like this is an absolute game changer, it really is. See what I mean? Like that is what that hole has done. It's allowed me to place what I'm going to say is rebarb right into a Sister of Battle's dead corpse. Just pushing in a little bit.
Definitely makes it easier, 100%.
Absolutely.
Especially if I did a couple of conversions with 3D printed resin, and it's such a harder material compared to the GW plastic that it was just brutal to drill through with the hand drill, with the pin vise. It sounds so dramatic, but when you're there just struggling with a tool that is inadequate, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see what I'm doing right now on the screen. You know what I mean? Like, it is just.
I'll pull
I
it
am
up.
just-
I'll pull it up. Where is
Yeah.
it?
So
Oh, here it is. Okay.
basically, as you can see, no, it's on the right way up because it's on the OBS. So that means it'll have to be on. So if we don't run like this, it'll be right. So basically, I use this. This comes with its own little special box, which is over here. So you got a little box here. It is USB chargeable or USB-C chargeable, so you just stick it into your phone charger. It should be fine. You get a variety of drill bits, and like even the biggest ones still help with giant model projects. If you want to do some pinning, obviously smaller ones, your stuff, it's all good. But basically that. Now, what I usually do, as you can see, is with this, I just, like as you can see the hole here, I literally just switch it on. As you can see, it's a nice good drill. I've just made a hole here, and it just goes in like so. There we go.
It's a nice little tech demo. I'm sold.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, thankfully, in the fantasy world, there's less barrel holes to drill.
Indeed.
Usually. Unless you're playing some weird faction.
Yeah, I think the battery just died on this as well. Yeah, that's the only thing you got to be aware of. The battery will die, but you know it is rechargeable. So as
That's
you
how
can
it
see,
goes
like,
with power tools. It's fine. I think it's worth the.
exactly. That is
that
just a hole I've
inconvenience.
drilled, and I've just no, absolutely. This is a hole that I've drilled through Dead Sister Battle from Live at Demonica, Dead Sister's bits. And I'm about to just stick that in there and then glue it on, as though it's just impaled impeccably on the end of a ruined Imperial Eagle.
Oh, here's a question for you. On
Yeah.
your Night Lords, these corpses,
Yeah.
is it consistently Sisters of Battle, or do you have various factions as trophies?
Ooh,
And,
yes.
what's your approach on the trophy, the dead faction on
The
bases?
dead trophy.
Yeah.
So obviously I like Dead Sisters of Battle. I've got a penchant for that, but that's only because I like it's the whole like horror trope of the final girl kind of thing. You know, Night Lords are your horror movie villain Space Marine chapter.
Yep.
I think we've established this pretty nicely. But yeah, like I say, and so I like the idea of like them all butchering like Sisters of Battle as like the epitome of what they do, because they're they're the horror villains. They're the ones who you run away from typically. But I do have other things, like I've got some Space Marine helmets and such. So I do like a little bit of power fantasy, like on the Midnight Man here. I've got a backpack with tons of helmets. Sanguinary Guard, 2 Dark Angels, one helmet's going to be Crimson Fist, another's going to be Imperial Fist, and then we've got a plain Primaris Mark 10 helmet there, which I'm still debating on what to do. I'm thinking Carcharodons, but there you go. Other bit, what I also like is Guardsmen, because Dead Guardsmen and Night Lords are like bread and butter. So like on my Conrad Kurz, bear with me for 2 seconds. That's me. Okay, right. That was a
Take your time. No rush.
If I get old, not Conrad Kurz from RTLW here. He's got a plethora of dead people on his
I love that
tactical
model.
rock. I love it as well. Yeah.
Great job too.
Thank you. There's this guardsman here, and I've painted it in Body and Glory's 50th Rifles colours because I'm a git like that. But I like guardsmen as well. I like Space Marines, but I feel like less is more when it comes to Space Marines, because in universe they are meant to be a rare sight. When 2 Space Marine forces collide, typically traitors and loyalists, it's like a war of angels kind of thing. So it's the whole methodical approach to it kind of thing. If they've got dead Space Marines, it should mean something. If you've got dead Space Marines left, right, and centre, obviously everything can contain different texts and different contexts and different tones. But for me, it's just like, if you just see Space Marines everywhere, it's like, okay, it kind of gives like that Stormtrooper effect. But that's where the guard comes in. Like my boys are bad guys. They are the bully boys. I always say like the bully boys midnight clad. So I like the idea that they aren't just solely focused on being a power fantasy to kill space marines. They are part of the galaxy. There is a wider imperium. There are things that I'd like to add as part of that wider imperium that they terrorize. Like I'd love to add a bit more admech and such. But I like a lot of that and a few Xenos bits. Like a dead Eldar is a dead Eldar. It's always good stuff.
Rude, but I agree with your principle.
Shaking my fist off. I remember 7th edition. I remember you. Never forgive, never forget. But yeah, like I say, it's just like I say, I like a few Space Marines, but I like Guardsmen and Sisters of Battle because I feel like it's the holy devout warrior and like your bog standard infantry. It makes it feel to me a bit more immersed because, like I say, like space. I see dead Space Marines everywhere, and I feel it. I get it. It's nice. But when there's nothing but dead Space Marines, it starts to get that like the Stormtrooper effect, and it's like that's not what Space Marines are. That's what your Guardsmen are. But that's just me anyway.
No, that makes sense. I agree. I think it makes them feel more like bullies, right? You generally, I think, are able to create a kind of narrative by the trophies you have on your models, right? Now, that should be the idea anyways. So by having the Night Lords punch down, as demonstrated by what factions are on their trophies or on their bases, I think it tells you something about them.
Exactly. Like for me, it's like the reason why I'm putting Dead Sisters specifically on Caraxes is because at least Caraxes in this point of his life, if you can call it that, is absolute hatred for Sisters because of the Siege of Pythora, where he got his backside kicked in by both Sisters of the Battle of the Argent Shroud and Legion of the Damned. Obviously, you can't really be chasing ghosts that just disappear and do whatever they like, but you know there is a universe full of Sisters of Battle, so yeah.
Well, they're a good choice.
Okay.
Right, the Sisters of Battle represent a kind of hope, right? They're holy warriors, right? So if they're on your bases, it's very symbolic. It hits different.
Indeed.
It hits different than the
Indeed.
Astartes. I think Astartes are also a symbol of hope in a way, but they're transhuman, right? They're a bit horrifying in themselves. But the Sisters of Battle are a bit more pure, I would say, in the hope they are associated with.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I totally agree. Like I say, it's one of those things where it's like, for me, it's the idea of a Night Lord is to install despair, because from despair breeds fear, and fear breeds compliance. Also, you know, the romanticized take is seen. So it's the idea of like, these guys, during the heresy, they've squashed so many human successionist civilizations within and without the Imperium. When it comes to the Crusade in 10,000 years now, with, you know, the added bonus of corruption from chaos, they can be seen as not the martyr. They can be seen as the devil. Basically, they are the ones who basically defile despair and defile hope in of itself. When you see when you see the martyrs not die gloriously in battle, but get absolutely eviscerated, every scream attuned to a Voxcaster kind of thing, because, you know, scary warp technology. It hits a lot more of that horror ambience where when the 8th Legion say they come for you, they have truly come for you. Night descends. There is no more hope, no more light, no more grace. There is only despair and terror. And that's why I like to try and invoke in my Night Lords kind of thing. That's why I like the whole idea of that when they are corrupted by chaos, it's more of like gothic horror, Dark Souls aesthetic than your usual like hubbub, corn demon, Slanesh and all that. I like the idea of like proper going into the idea and concepts of despair and the night. Yeah, that's just me.
Oh, it makes sense, dude. It makes sense. It's the Night Lords. It's to the Night Lords themes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just putting down basic colors, nothing fancy. I might do a little bit of face painting here and there, but this is a very simple kind of color scheme for these Stormcast. It's dark armor, white capes,
Yeah.
white cloth, and then metallic bits for the weapons. But they are enjoyable models to paint.
Yeah. Would you say those Stormcast are more complex or simpler than, say, Chaos Marines and Primaris Marines to paint, like with the amount of trim and armor?
Oh, way simpler. Way simpler. It's more comparable to Space Marines because the amount of character you have on your Chaos Legionaries is just...
Yeah.
Even compared to Loyalists, is crazy, right? You have trim is obvious, but then you have all their trinkets and trophies and little fur patches and ripped, damaged sections, right? Those, like, all the cables are all ripped and corroded, right? All those kind of extra details, where the Stormcast are very simple, but, like, elegantly so. Like, I really...
Yeah.
After, I think, was it 2nd edition or 3rd? Whenever they redid the proportions of them, I really like how the range looks now.
Yeah.
When they're not just like really thick power fantasy power armored warriors, right? You just kind of feel they feel just more distinct, like they're their own thing, rather than trying to fit the mold of Space Marines. Like, funnily enough,
yes,
the new Custodes feel very similar to the old Stormcast in their proportionality, which I'm like, not.
Yeah.
And I did just a chill stream earlier this week looking at the models because they're up on pre-order on WarhammerCommunity.com.
Yeah.
And I came to the conclusion that while the overall proportions of the new models I think are better, like, it's like hard to deny that they're just taller, the heads are smaller, they feel better proportioned relative to other Space Marines and Guardsmen and all of that, and the new Horus Heresy Marines. But I think something was lost in the transition from the old models, because the old models, while more squat, they had a width in their upper body. Like, they had this V taper, almost like a bodybuilder, with the size of their shoulders relative to their shoulder to waist ratio, I guess. And I think that kind of gives them a kind of majesty, like like Superman with their super broad shoulders, right? This idea.
Yeah.
And I think that was lost. And I don't know.
It's all about the Custodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind them. Like, I look at them and I'm thinking they do feel more reflective of, I want to say Adrian Smith's artwork, but I could be wrong on that one, where it's like it's very realistic but hyper detailed, but it's still quite fancy because, Warriors of Chaos and all that. But I don't mind them. I think it's one of those things where it's like, we've wanted to see Custodes get a bit of a globe for a long time. If that's kind of like the price we pay for plastic dreadnoughts and all that, then so be it. You know what I mean? to a degree, but I get what you're saying. Like, I don't mind them. I think like if I am tempted to buy one box and maybe two of the generals just to paint. One to paint like with in uniform with a little squad. The other to paint as kitten from Empress Texas speech device.
I got you. I mean, I say this, but I don't think I have no plans to buy any of the new models. I have a collection of Custodes, and even before the new models and before the female Custodes controversies and all of this, I was becoming disenchanted with just what they are in the setting as an army rather than like being so forward in the setting. Because I was just like, how are they able to act as an army and then sustain these losses? And then just having their presence in the game. I've been flip-flopping on this issue over time. Where you know, at first I was like, maybe there should be room for the game to just be a game. And you want to play Custodes, fine. Play your Adeptus Custodes. But just what they do to the power fantasy scale, like they subvert Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines from being the apex of the mighty warriors of the setting, right? Once they're a playable faction. So I don't like their nature based on that even. And then when it comes to their rules, I feel like GW just keeps dropping the ball by not leaning into the Talons of the Emperor with Sisters of Silence.
Yes.
And because of those two things, I've just like lost any sort of enthusiasm for them as a faction because it's just
like
unfortunately.
I get like
because I have a collection of them,
like,
but it's not enjoyable right now for me.
Yeah, I think it's hard because I am extremely biased. Like, you've definitely got a point where it's saying like this subverts Space Marines because on the power fantasy scale, they were meant to be more of a setting piece or something that you would use, say, in a role playing game like Dark Heresy or something that is very, very rare to see.
Yes,
if at all.
Or they're only in the novels and they're just the most awesome, you know, like.
Yeah, exactly. They were never meant to be part of the game in that sense because, I mean, it's on the. I don't want to go off on one of my famous TED talks here, but like it's hard to describe the power scale anymore, at least for me, because you don't just have Space Marines in the game. You also have Primaris, and then you got Custodes, and then you've also got Grey Knights. So you got Space Marines that do a lot of witchery, warp psychic, and are seemingly immune to the corruption and horrors of the warp. You got Space Marines +1, which is basically Primaris Marines, and then you've got Custodes, and you just sat there going like, "What in the Shonen Jump anime is this?" You know what I mean? Sometimes.
Yeah, it gets out of control. Look, I don't even like.
Yeah.
Look, there are elements of the Grey Knights I like, certain themes. I think I like the idea of them. I just don't like the execution. For the same reason I don't particularly like Custodes.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you have to have... Now here's another tier of Marine, of transhuman warrior, that's even better than the previous ones we were sold as were the peak, right? I don't like that out of principle, that framing.
Yeah, I think for me, for Grey Knights, my dislike for Grey Knights isn't necessarily because of Grey Knights in themselves, but it's similar to Necrons, and I've got Necron army, so you know, I say that. It's that tonal shift that happened in 5th edition for me. Like when you compare the tone between the 3rd edition, both the Witch Hunters Demon Hunters Codex to the Grey Knights 5th edition Codex, and then you compare the tones from, say, the Necron 3rd edition to 5th edition. I know. I'm full of spicy takes here, but it's just like when you when you read upon the Grey Knights, even if it's less pages and stuff, you do get that feeling of the hyper eliteness of them, that they are the ones who you throw down to contain big, massive demons. When you read read the Tonal Shift in 5th edition, they just feel like you could have like a bit of Glory Hammer in the background, and they feel a lot more cartoonish. And I get that feeling a lot with not the Tomb Kings in Space, the Necrons. You get that tonal, like, I understand, like, you know, Necrons have technology beyond our understanding, but that was one of the things that made them so scary, at least for me in the first place, was the fact that it was looking into the unknown, but that unknown has been explained. And for me, it's like, it's similar with Grey Knights, where in the sense of, before it was just like they are the last line of defense against demonic incursions before you throw down the Exterminatus. If you really need that holy relic or that holy shrine to stay upright in a system or a sector, absolutely. And they went from that to the guy, you know, this guy who just recently appeared, that's always been in the law, and he scribbled his previous Grandmaster's name on Mortarian's heart.
That's the most. Over that. That's the most cringe. The most cringe narrative choice I've ever heard, right? And it's infamous for a reason, right?
Yeah. I will never forgive that one. That is, like, in terms of like the law, right?
Yeah, you have to pretend, like, you have to kind of pretend certain things don't happen for like the palatability of what you want to enjoy, right? I feel similar about the Primaris stuff, honestly. Like the betterer nature of them, I think, is so distasteful, and I think everyone agrees. And I think even at this point, GW wants to pretend like there wasn't ever a difference.
Yeah.
Because they understand as well, and they've already sold the cart they wanted to, anyways. So now there's a good incentive for them to yield to the community and earn some good favor, in air quotes, by listening to the fans after they've sold people what they never wanted.
Yeah.
But
No, absolutely, no, absolutely. You're totally right there. Like it's one of those things where it's like I say, like when it comes to like things like that, it's that tonal shift. Like I've often said this in private with friends and such, and I'm not ashamed of this opinion that I have. I've always stated I would much rather have Chaos Space Marines to have female Space Marines as opposed to Chaos Primaris, because I dislike Primaris lore that much.
Say that again? You'd rather have Chaos Space Marines?
I'd rather have female Chaos Space Marines than Chaos Primaris. I just feel as though it's...
Look, Chaos can do weird science, and...
Yeah.
But look, then you take something that's supposed to be like... it's a hot take, dude, because if GW were to do that, you'd be taking, female Space Marines, this idea, right? In our world, that's an idea that's supposed to be positive, it's supposed to be for inclusivity, etc., etc. It's supposed to be virtuous, in italics, right? But if you make that something Chaos does, you make it bad, right? So they can't do that.
But yeah, no, I get you. Like, for me,
it's kind of amusing, honestly. That's so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for me, it's like the angle I take it on is that the Imperium, as disheveled as it is and as decaying as it is still an oiled machine. How well oiled machine is up for unreliable narrator's decision, but it is still an oiled machine. They have very strict doctrine and dogma, especially when it comes to the Astartes, of the ideals of brotherhood, especially within their own cultures within the Adeptus Astartes. Chaos Space Marines, on the other hand, are oath-breaking paladins, essentially doing Wild West adventures in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. I personally think, like, if Chaos not female Marines, Chaos female Marines were introduced, I think it would add a new dynamic, but also new tensions to bring forth with the Chaos Marines, because they are not as xenophobic as they used to be during the Great Crusade. Like, Huron's got like 2 aliens in his pact. If you read the Black Legion series, there's a Thousand Sun sorcerer who totally doesn't have a Dark Eldar Scourge girlfriend, but totally does have a Dark
Yeah,
Eldar Scourge girlfriend.
Okay, this is true, and this is a good point. Like, I'll push back a little bit because it's an interesting conversation point.
Yeah.
I find, and I know a lot of people like the Black Legion books, and I like them for the most part. I think they're not the worst out of Black Library. But I can't help but feel Iskandar Kion, as cool of a premise that character is. It's very cool, right? It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you read the book, you're like, "Whoa, this guy's the best. He made Magnus kneel," right? Like all this kind of stuff. It just feels very Gary Stu. Like it feels like this guy is just the coolest. Now I like the idea of a Black Legion character having like, because like the Black Legion, and this is something GW doesn't really lean into, which they really should, I think, the amalgam aspect of them, that they are people from different legions and warbands that have come together under Abaddon's kind of, reborn in black and gold, that idea.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of, instead of Harkin World Claimer being a second Black Legion character, you have an Iskandar Kion, a named Chaos Sorcerer, and he has the trappings of someone who used to be a Thousand Sun Sorcerer, right? Like, I like that premise a lot, and I think it does wonders for how Black Legion should be depicted.
Yeah.
But bro,
no, absolutely.
This guy is just like the coolest character in his book. And GW, it's not just ADB who does this. A lot, that's his books, right? Yeah, I think it's his books. But a lot of Black Library authors will make Psychers the most, like, it's just crazy busted how cool and awesome and Gary Stu they are. Like, you'll have, like, my favorite, I think it was either Mephiston or Araman. It doesn't really matter who, but you have feats, like you talk about power scaling, you have feats of like stopping the hearts of pilots high in the sky. And then they're just done. And I'm like, dude, this is like, it just takes me out of the setting completely. The glaze is so thick that I can't buy into the believability of the setting. If they just do these kinds of things because they're awesome and there's no blowback, they're not furiously like unconscious bleeding from their nose for the rest of the book. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like I take those kinds of things with like a grain of salt because I think you really ought to for the believability of the setting.
Well, it's like what I was leading on to, like Games Workshop often like to use the unreliable narrator as a crutch.
Yes.
So I just weaponize
Thank you.
it back at them.
I agree.
Yeah. I weaponize it back at them, like, for example, another spicy take coming. I'm not a fan of the Conrad Curse Primarch book. I will save that because that's not just a TED talk, that's a university essay in of itself.
Without getting into the particulars, because I am curious, is that one of the better received Primarch books? Because I think most are kind of bad, despite how awesome they look. I can speak for the Vulcan one. Super big letdown.
It's one of those ones where if you don't know any better, it comes off as a good read. If you have already like read other books and more about the Night Lords, because say like me, if you have invested into them, specifically them, you realise that book falls apart really, really badly because, like, I always say Aaron Dembski Bowden is the Quentin Tarantino of Black Library. He can make a scene. He can make good dialogue flow. I can't say that. I can't say that enough.
Yeah, I don't
whether
think
all his ideas are
author
good or not, different story. But he can make some good meaty dialogue. Guy Haley, who wrote the Primarch book for Conrad Kurz, it's something that I noticed, especially in the Dark Imperium series. Guy Haley is a good writer, because I've heard good things about the Dante book that he wrote. He's a good writer when he's interested in something. The Conrad Kurz book, and especially when you read the Death Guard side of things in the Dark Imperium book, they really come off as really cheesy. and really one-dimensional in terms of character flavor. And the Curse book, it's hot. Like, if you understand and know, and you've spent a lot of time to research about Conrad Curse, there is certain parts in that book which are cool, but there's a lot in that book where he comes off as a mustache twirling villain, and not in the gothic 40k decaying sense, but more in the mustache twirling Saturday morning cartoon vibe. I feel like that book is more, how far is Guy Haley trying to push his limits, and how far is he trying to say how edgy he can be, rather than telling the story, the end story of Conrad Curse.
That's a
And
disappointment.
it breaks on me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get
But
it.
that's just my take, of course. Like, obviously, other people, I've had this conversation so many times with people in Night Lord's Discord server. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I am not trying to take away other people's enjoyment of that book. It is just how I personally feel about that book. Like I say, I won't get into particulars because that will be the 20,000 word university essay that probably got lying in some skeleton closet over there, but still. But yeah, like I say, just I've turned around to some people and said, you know what, I'd love to give a crack at that book and make it better. And I know that's hubris, that is just me being theatrically hubris right now, but I just have that grip and feels like I could rewrite this and make this better. But yeah, like I say, there's like I say, like going back to the whole idea about the power fantasies and such, like sometimes, and I think Games Workshop has definitely lost its way on this, because it's tried to translate a setting into a story. So everything before the 13th Black Crusade was a setting. Post Gathering Storm, once Katie had cracked it, became a story. And in trying to make it into a story, they're basically trying to explain everything away and just hash out certain things. Like, I am still not a fan of how they ended the Octarius War. That was like, I still remember reading that in fifth, like the Octarius start in 5th edition Planet Strike Special Missions book, and the idea that orcs become Starship Troopers against Tyranid invasion was amazing. Like, this is the orc and Tyranid fight. You do not, the Imperium has no say. And what did they do? They ended up with the Imperium. I'm just like, well, okay, I guess you didn't really care that much about it. But this is where I say, like, weaponize the unreliable narrator against them. If you don't like something, it didn't happen. You know what I mean? It's subjective. Because if they're gonna do that left, right, center, and net to us, then for the sake of my own enjoyment of their setting, I'm gonna do it right back at them. You know what I mean? I
can understand that.
Yeah, like, that's the way I see it. Like, I enjoy my Night Lords. The Conrad Curse book has some aspects that could have been definitely delved into to make it more interesting. And I'll take those aspects and then I discard the majority of the rest of the book. I think of my own characters and I integrate, and I had a bit of a joke with a few friends over this. It's like, I'm making basically the YouTuberverse with my Night Lords. The cinematic YouTuberverse. Because I'm bringing my Night Lords in, I'm bringing them to this channel and this channel and this channel. It's all going to tie together.
That's
if
fun.
I play against Modian and such. Yeah, it's just hilarious fun. But like I say, like, my Night Lords are, I try and write them with specific goals in mind. Like Caraxes here, I didn't realize that at the time, but I was essentially making Night Lord's version of Darth Vader. And then when it hit me, I was like, damn, I thought I was being so original there. But I've got other characters, like, because of, like, certain, like, events that I've went to, like the Modian Glory Thanatos campaign, we had the Jaeger. He's now dead and been somewhat reincarnated as a suit of armor for other people to wear. What came out of the Modian Glory campaigns was this specific character here, being Daras Morgaris, the Midnight Man, who I'm still busy writing short stories about. But he is the latest warlord. He did not exist until after the Modian Glory events. yeah, things like that. Like, it's about expanding, but you don't. Sometimes the more awesome parts, especially this is what 40K's setting used to be rooted in, it wasn't about the blasé or the collision of top figureheads. Sometimes the awesomeness was about, like, say, like when we were talking about Guardsman the other time. It's about a guardsman looking up at a Night Lord and spitting in his face before he gets vivisected. Sometimes it's about that. It's about those like three sisters of battle with flamers throwing the flamethrowers around against an orc horde before they're eventually butchered. It's about that last stand, that last fight, doing what you think is right, despite having the entirety of like the world against you. Doing what you think is right, even if the rest of the world is damned, or even the rest of your galaxy subsector is down. It's about what makes 40K feel so 40K is that the humanitarian moments are fleeting. That's what makes them more special than ever, because despite living in a system that would ultimately exploit said humanity, that core being of humanity is still there. When a space, like, it's like in I think it was Pedro Canto of the Crimson Fists, when he picks up that civilian's mother or something like that, and he carries him across. That is the idea of the angel, but that is also part of like the core being of Space Marines still retaining a core, well, not a core, but an aspect or a part of their humanity as acceptance of being part of a wider Imperium, as part of the Emperor's vision, where the Imperium and humanity are interlinked in one, not separate, not the Imperium being dogmatic, dominating all humanity, but interlinked, interwoven with each other, so that the Imperial truth, the progress can spread. And we live in 40K terms, we live in that death of that hope. So any flickers of light, any lanterns across the seeping darkness, that's what 40K is about for me. Sorry, I went very metaphorical, philosophical there, but you get my idea.
It's all good. I'm just enjoying the talk, you know, and getting to get some paint time in while you share your point of view. It's all
Absolutely.
Good. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think there's like a pretty obvious line between grimdark and grimderp.
Yes.
And all too often, people are too ready to turn 40K into like some sort of comedy setting with how grim it is, and I think the grim darkness of the setting makes for a great foil for the good, right? Even if it is rare and fleeting, I think the contrast enhances those acts, like what you're describing with Pedro Cantor there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like
it's kind of basic,
I just feel
really.
like, yeah, exactly. It's one of the reasons why I love my Night Lords so much, is because to me they are the perfect epitome of the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. They are like, obviously there's a lot of influence from the Night Lords trilogy, the sacred texts for me. The sacred texts, but still. It shows you a lot of the dark reflections on complexities of the 41st millennium, of how Conrad Curzon was meant to take on the aspect of justice of the Emperor, and how that was twisted and turned into the nightmarish visions that they are today, kind of thing. Like I say, they still have some core feeling of they want to be the Punishers, but that core feeling has been twisted and corrupted by not just by chaos, but by due to the general madness of both Curzon Strahmo and the Horus Heresy. They were already on paper thin ice during the Great Crusade, but the Horus Heresy is what finally pushed them over. And you'll have and one of the things that I like about the Night Lords Omnibus is that you do have a collection of personalities that do clash with each other. You've got, like Talos, who is still someone who wants to remember the good old days and wants to be at the core of his being, he still wants to be a hero, even though the reality is far different. You've got, you've got like the ones possessed or corrupted or went into their sword descent for chaos, like Uzaz and Syrian. You have the ones who are methodical and know the ideas of treachery, like Variel. And you have like more, I don't want to say realists, but realists within the context of 40k, like the Reuven, the sorcerer, who flocked to the Black Legion in the first book. All of these, like, to me, they reflect the nihilism of the setting of the grim darkness of 40k. Like, there is no hope, and they are the final enforcers of that truth, if that makes sense.
It does. I think the Night Lords are great heals for the setting.
Yeah. I love Night Lords because they are the villains. Like, I initially picked them because they were my second choice. Like, okay, the idea of psychological warfare, and then I slowly got to read up about them, and I started realizing that they are my preferred aesthetics. Like, in terms of fantasy, I like playing as gothic horror, like vampires and such. I know Blood Angels have the whole space vampire aesthetic, but they're more like the Vitruvian Man in Greek mythology than gothic horror. And what I like about the Night Lords is that they do feel like that Vlad Dracul aesthetic, like the gothic horror aesthetic that you feel from like Dark Souls and such.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is the perfect reflection, and that's why I've I think that's why I've stuck with them. When you read about the stories, the depth of the character, not just of say the books, but also the depth of the character of the Legion itself, and the Primarch, and how their story is interwoven but also split at the same time. It really, like, when you read Night Lords properly, to me it's like peeling layers of an onion. It's like the more you read into it, the more in depth and complex it gets, and I like that because it makes my mind. It's like the creativity aspect. It makes my mind rotate. It makes my mind work to think I could have this character here and this character here. They don't have to like each other, but the interesting part is how do you get them to work together. And I realize that it does look like the anime thing, but yes, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that idea, and also the fact that I can interject, because 40k is a rip off of everything. We all know this. I can interject horror villains into this. Like, I've literally made Freddy Krueger into a Night Lord because yes. But yes, you can have fun with it, and you can also be serious with it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I themed my Hive Fleet after a Pokemon. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't, lean into the cheesiness of it at all, but the reference is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally get you. Like I say, I like making stories, and I feel like Night Lords, I can get what I want out of a story because it's got the bits and the complexity and the aesthetics that I love about, like, say, like gothic horror and such, because I love my horror films. Right, I need to get some bone, but yeah, like I say, gonna paint this guy now. It's got all the bits I like about it, and that's why I think I've been so core essential and adamant with my Night Lords, like how it is a massive collection, because I can just pour all my creativity into them. That doesn't mean I'm not against collecting other factions. I've got about 7 other armies gonna still build up and paint. Like, I love my Necrons, I love my Black Templars. Like, to me, they are like the flip side of the coin in terms of law and order, in terms of the Holy Crusade. That sort of level of, I don't want to say grim darkness, but horror and grim darkness from the other side, from like I don't want to say other side of the coin, but it is kind of. I've got like Praetorian Guard because that's something I would, because Space Marines. I gotta do Space Marines. And then there's Krieg. Krieg are good to me, are a good example of like Night Lords, but reflective of that grim darkness, where it's like, what is the Guard? It is a meat grinder. They know this. When they die, they want their sacrifice to mean something. That is the cult of sacrifice. that is dark enough itself. Thank you.
Yep.
My dear has just made my screen. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, like I say, it is. How'd you say? It is one of those like. That's why I love Kriegsman so much. The aesthetic got me first. Then I read into it, and I was thinking, yeah, I like this. They are born to die, but they want their death to mean something. That's Grimdark. That to me is what it is. That's the heart of what everything is. No, I don't want to paint my screen though. I can't just go.
It's honestly the same reason why I think the Krieg are a better regiment to be the poster boys of the Guard than Cadia. Spicy hot take, I know, but I think thematically, they're just better avatars of what it is to be a guardsman in a grimdark setting.
No, absolutely.
It's the Cadian aesthetic is just a bit too clean for me. Like I and again, this is obviously I'm speaking from I'm not a guardsman player, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's from the outside looking in. Look at these different factions. I think you can make the same case for the Black Templars on the Space Marine side. They're just like, oh, sci-fi space crusaders who go around purging the foes of, man, right?
Mm-hmm.
They seem like the archetypal example.
Yeah.
What kind of ice cream you got?
It's just vanilla, but my partner just brought it up for us with drumstick squirty cream. So it's just like, yeah, it's actually quite nice.
Vanilla ice cream's delicious. Okay.
Oh yeah, it can be, definitely. It's just she bought some new squirty sauce, which was like drumstick flavoured. It was like, yeah, alright, we'll give it a go. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Drumstick flavored like the ice cream cone brand, Drumstick?
Yes, the brand. It is branded.
Interesting. I'm something of an ice cream enjoyer myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it's one of my favourite desserts, because, I'm a Mr. Freeze player at heart. I love Mr. Freeze.
Nice.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm going back to painting a lot of heroes, but I think also another reason why I am like painting these characters is because I know I'm coming into, I won't go into details, but I'm coming into quite a lot of money, and I said to myself, I want to commission more artists from more Night Lords art. So on my little screen there,
Here, I'll expand it.
I did commission an artist to make the Jaeger's christening. That when I was saying about previously about like the point where the Jaeger got his name, I literally have art of it. Like I'm a commissioned artist to make art because I believe in supporting artists. So like we've got this guy. That's the Jaeger before he was cut asunder by Helbrecht. But the funny thing about that is that the Lancer that he's on top of is my friend's Lancer, because it is directly from his first ever game when I used him way back at the start of 10th edition with the Index. It was Index Imperial Knights versus Index Chaos Marines, and I still remember when I killed the and I used the Jaeger that I call. It's great because I say, like, if I put him with Raptors, I call him, I'm dropping my Jaeger bomb. It's great.
Funny.
Indeed. So it's like, I've got my Jaeger, and I use him to Harken, and basically Harken just charged in on a lance of like 3 or 4 wounds and just went, right, stab, you're down. Next turn, your bondsman, stab, you're also down. And since then he was called the Jaeger because he's just a hunter. And this is the point where it's like, it is more like that part, that artwork just depicts his moment of victory when he yanks open the cockpit, grabs the night pilot, and that's when the night pilot screams Jaeger, and he voxes it to the rest of his force, and they all start chanting from the distance Jaeger over and over again in unison, and that's how he got his name. So I just felt like it was things like that, things that tell a story. and I want to do more of that with more characters. Like I'd love to do an artwork of, I call him, to get James workshopify it. I don't call him Freddy Krueger. I call him Ferric Krueger, the Midnight Slasher, as to play on his murder title or serial killer title of the Springwood Slasher. And I would like to make some artwork of that. But I would also like to do my own character of the Nox Mortis, which is basically like Caraxes with like the, it's a not Huron's Council. But I'm currently making models to like fit like each sort of character. And I'd love to do that and have like a massive like meeting table over, say, the Hive Spire of Thanatos, where it's got like the Leviathan that has been pervading their clutches for so long. Say just things that tie into everything, and just be like, oh look, this is, and it's reflective of the games that I've had, all the epic monumental moments I've had with people in other games and such, or just showing them off in like their own awesome might, like the Midnight Man, just basically on top of like a bunch of like dead guardsmen, which I would have in like Modian 50th Rifles, because he was birthed from that event. I'm gonna have dead Cadians. So not dead Cadians, I'm gonna have dead Modians.
I like it.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
I'm still
a great example of how rewarding Warhammer can be, right? From the narrative side of things, right? Being able to build your guys, go on adventures with them effectively, right? Tell tales, create your own stories. Like, that is what Warhammer kind of was initially, like, posed as, right? It was much more of a your dudes kind of game.
Mm-hmm. I know, absolutely.
I think named characters should be restricted to like end of campaign events, only. Big games, right? Like 2,000 points feels way too small. For like a 2,000 point one-off battle feels way too small for Primarchs, typically. This doesn't feel epic.
Yeah.
They need to feel earned, They need to feel like...
Yeah.
You play a set of 3 games, and on the last one, you get your Primarch. I think that just frames things narratively a bit better.
Mm-hmm. No, okay, yeah, absolutely. The game needs the depth of gravitas again.
Yeah, I don't... we'll see. We'll see what 11th brings. I'm not holding my breath for it, but... But, yeah. Don't want to beat that drum too much. Let's see here. Kryptonix says, Krieg have the fatalism of the Imperium. We will die, what will we buy with our death kind of thing. Yes. That's exactly right.
Indeed. Like I say, I love Krieg. I do, and it's not just a simple, I like them for the shovels meme. I like them because I remember looking at the aesthetic when they first released in Forge World way back in the Siege of Vrax. I remember the tonal feel of them, and obviously watching the Janovich documentary to complement that like tonal feel of the books. The feel of them just feels so awesome to me. I like the idea of the Krieg. I love the aesthetic. I love literally everything. The endless waves to the artillery. If I want something more tank orientated, I'll play with Praetorian Guard and play them as mechanized guard. There we go. That's how I kind of like made it in my mind. Right, where's the bone?
I gotcha. Let me see here with the comments. Or in the chat. Sierra Smith, or Matt Mullen says, painting some Custodians. We were talking about Custodians earlier. Nice. I support everyone who's sharing in the hobby camaraderie. It gives me energy. Sierra Smith says, at with the 40k, I have 60 Horse Heresy Tactical Marines I need to put together. Do you have any tips for building and painting them in a manner that doesn't take years? assembly line is the best way. Thankfully, the Horus Heresy tactical marines go together pretty easily, especially the Mark 6 ones. You don't have a lot of customizability with mixing up legs and arms. I think you can mix up arms fairly well, but you can't mix up legs and torsos. But that simplicity makes it a bit easier to just bang them out. And the mold lines, from what I can recall, are pretty mild. They're pretty mild, so they're not the worst to build out en masse, which is great for a game like Horus Heresy. Yeah, assembly line is probably the best way to do it for speed. You know which legs go with which bodies. You can cut out all the pieces, sort them, then clean up all the pieces, which isn't too bad, because again, the mold lines are mild. And then glue them all together. And it's kind of mundane work, just like batch painting. But it's faster. It is faster. Those are the sacrifices you must make to build an army and paint an army quickly. You have to sacrifice your enjoyment of the artistic process, of the creative, of the painting process, right?
Indeed.
It is what it is.
Indeed. It's really like how much. It's always a case of how much time are you willing to invest. And I always try and do mine to the best of my ability, but then I always go on Instagram, and then it ends there because I go, I want to do that now. I want to do that. Why is theirs better than mine?
That comparison is thief of joy, as they say, right? It's
Yeah.
there is wisdom and creative ideas you can get from looking at references online. And I'm not saying this to suggest you are a new hobbyist, but I think for newer people in the hobby, it can be a trap. I've definitely seen it be the case where newer hobbyists are trying to get the kinds of results that these guys who've been painting on Instagram for years, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like, you can take some of that wisdom and you'll be better off for it, but there's a point where the return on that investment does not yield anymore, I find.
Yeah.
You know,
I get you.
I think you watch the old YouTube tutorial and you kind of get the idea of the technique, and then it's a matter of building up your skills. Building up
absolutely.
your capacity.
Yeah, like even now, like, you know, I've been painting for 20 years, but I would say I'm still learning still. Like, I'm still watching YouTube tutorials on, say, like, Black Templars, because I want to make them into really, like, grimdark, not aesthetic, grimdark style, where and more than just I'm just gonna knock on a bunch of streak and grime and call it a day kind of thing. I want to make them truly feel like part of an atmosphere. Because there will be an army used on my channel, so yeah.
And for the record, like, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing you just pointed out there, Warpforge. Like, you should always be learning, right?
Yeah.
If you're not, that's where things kind of get stale.
Yeah. If you're looking for a job well done so quickly, you're only going... Like, if you're looking for a one-and-done Mona Lisa, essentially, you're going to be disappointed.
I've committed to black banners on the standard bearers in this collection, and I kind of regret it now.
Yeah?
I kind of regret. Yeah, I thought it'd be like a fairly monochromatic scheme with very few colors, so that I can paint the little gems on each unit a different color and have them stand out more. weird aim, but that's what I chose. And because of that, I'm like, okay, keep the banners neutral, with the exception for characters. For characters, I'm adding in a splash of blue, because I think it looks like really nice. But for the rank and file infantry, I wanted to keep them just like very monochromatic.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm trying to create some like dynamic range on the banners right now, or on this banner. And it really forces you, or it forces me to realize how much of a crutch for me painting with like bright colors is.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you can't use hue as the means to create contrast, and you're just using value, it's like, oh, I see. It becomes a different kind of beast, a different kind of challenge.
Indeed. I totally get you. It's like I'm still booked in to paint my friend's Space Wolves army. I'm not painting them as Space Wolves. I'm painting them as his custom successor chapter. But it's been hanging around for a while. But I'm still like, when we say we're developing, we're learning and such. Even on my friend's models, we're doing this. This is one of my friend's kit bash.
Hold on 1 second. I'll pull that up.
Yeah, no worries. It's definitely not finished. Nowhere near finished. But like I said, this is a model my friend built. Like I feel like sometimes I do have this effect among my friends where because I do all this and put so much effort in, they also want to do that and put in so much effort into their models. And I will say to my friend who, he got into the game in 9th edition and he started with Space Wolves. This is one of his first ever kit bashes, where he's used a bit of the Indomitus Captain with a bit of Chrome Dragon Gaze, using a 3D printed shield he bought off eBay, and it just, like, it really actually works. And I even said to him, like, it's rare, like, anyone can kit bash, but it's rare for someone to, at least from my opinion, it's rare for someone to start kit bashing and have a knack for it. And it's like, this is one of his first ever kit bashes, and I just feel like you've got a knack here, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see this amount of level or going into it, but like he just immersed himself into it. But even then, on this model, I am still learning. Like, I'm learning about like shades and such on this on this cape. And I was thinking like, oh look, it looks crap and such. And my friend saw it and said he loves it, and he loves the Verigreen on the metallics and such. The only bit I'm trying to really get my head around is, I know he wants whether or not to do extreme highlights or to dirty down the grey with a little bit of brown, dark brown, like Rhinox, Ashade, and Nuche. Nuche is basically turns acrylics into oils. So that's essentially what it does. So rather than have like preparing with like say how like oils need oils or like streak and grimes and such, enamels and such, like how they need to be varnished over so that you don't destroy the paint job underneath when you use the white, not the white vodka, the white spirit, and you take it all off and such. You get rid of that hassle, and you also get the complete depth and complexity of your original collection of paints anyway. So if you've got paints that you think, I'd love to like really do something different with it, or like I'd love to do like the Grim Dark method with it, except with this colour, you can now just get a little bit of Nuche and just pour it on, just make it on your paint palette or something. Just get your paint, put about 4 times as much on it with this, turns it into an oil paint, but doesn't have the variables that you need, so it won't. Excuse me. So it won't smell. It won't. You don't need to varnish your models or anything. You can literally just mix it up, slap it on, and then with a little bit of like makeup sponges or something, just take the excess off, and then go from there. So, but still, like, I'm still debating: do the light I think for me, it's like, it's not necessarily the modeling of itself, but it's the difference, because I am so used to painting so much detail and so much like busyness on a model. When I see a flat like armor panel like this Primaris leg here, I panic because I'm feeling like it's not enough. Do I need to add more texture to it? Do I need to add an edge highlight? And I feel like I should be adding edge highlights, but I feel like it's just going to be too flat. So when we talk about like learning and such, this is like the complexities and like conundrums that even I come up with. Like when I'm not used to paint a certain thing, I thought paint the Space Marine would be like paint the Space Marine, and with the amount of detail and busyness on the general model, that's fine. But then you come to like something like this leg here, and it's just sat there going like, it looks flat. And I'm just sat there going like, what can I do to give it depth? The only thing I can think of, without opting out for the streak and grime and dirting it all down and such, is to add edge highlights everywhere of ivory. Because the idea that my friend wanted was that these wolves, I think he calls them the spirit wolves, he wanted them to be off-white. So like as white as a blizzard, well, the grey to be as light as a blizzard, but not totally white. So he didn't want like Stormtrooper white, but grey to that level of height. So to do that, I've had to mix white paint with Dawnstone, like the lightest grey Games Workshop has, with white paint. And
Right.
it's like, because it's so light, you can't really darken it down without it looking too harsh. And because it'll look too harsh, you'll see then the texture lines of like of brush marks and such, which then make it look amateurish. At least for my standards, at least. All this is self-imposed. So I'm sat there going like, how do I complement this? And the only way I can think of, outside of potentially dousing it with streak and grime, is just to edge highlight it with an ivory, so it maintains that blizzard-like composure without necessarily dulling down the modeling of itself. And I think it's that sort of like, it's those sort of conversations that help you, even if it's with yourself. Those sort of conversations are what helped develop you as a painter. And obviously, like, you can obviously go to YouTube tutorials and such to get inspiration. I've had so much inspiration to get my Night Lords where they are now. I should really make like like when I get around to an official Night Lords paint scheme kind of thing, I should have a roll call at the start of like all the amount of Instagram profiles I've seen of like Night Lord stuff. Just say, I took inspiration from all these. You can find the links in the description below, kind of thing. But yeah, like I say, like sometimes you like, it doesn't matter how well versed you're into, or how well versed, you'll always have these things. And I think that's something that a lot of YouTube videos don't really talk about, is even expert painters who you'd never think would have an issue with painting or putting a colour down, they can also have these same dilemmas. And I think that should be talked about a bit more, because that's more human and it's more accepting, and it helps people, and I feel like it would help people grow a lot more.
Yeah, it would
Like,
probably give a better, more true insight to the process. But I think the short kind of limited nature of the content on Instagram and similar platforms, it's too short. So you just get the wow, and then you scroll, right? You scroll for more, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying. You said you're painting your friend's army for him.
Yeah.
You're a good guy.
Some commissions. Yeah, I do commission paints, but I do them with close friends at this moment. All my friends have said I should really open my own commission business, but I'm just sat there going like, it sounds good in theory, but I know the wargame market. They expect gold for pennies. You know what I mean? Especially for like people who don't have, say, like golden demons and
yeah, like yes and no. Like you could. So my 2 cents on doing the commission thing is, you can pretty easily demonstrate what the market prices are for commission painting just with like a free quote to any of these like huge studios like Siege, right? And you'll see okay, so even further low level, this is the range. And it puts things into
Yeah.
perspective for most people who are like, hey man, I know you in real life. Can you commission me? Can you commission my army? It only costs like $200, right? And it's like, well, no, not at all, right?
Yeah.
But once you open that door, you have to be kind of happy to be painting projects for other people and not you anymore. That's kind of what
Yes.
it turns into, right? It happens with my friend who does 3D printing. Right, he has a 3D printer mainly for himself, but then you open the door to people in your circle, and then
Yeah.
or even further, right? You can try to make it a business, and then very quickly you find like, oh, I have all these orders for the prices that I have agreed to, but now I find I just print things for other people, and I'm no longer doing the hobby for me.
Yes.
So that's kind of like the slippery slope of it, you could say.
Yeah. It's like to me, it's like the idea sounds good, but for me, it's like the reason why I thought of just doing commissions for friends is because I know my friend's time is limited. I know I set my standards high. I know, without meaning to try and toot my own horn, I know I'm a good painter. I'm not. I'll never say like I'm to Siege Studios. Not Steve Studios, Siege Studios. Um, I will never say I'm up to like the comparisons of say like that Infinity Painter. I can't remember his name right now. The name eludes me. Or I'll never say I'm like at the standards of like Siege Studios. But I would like to say like I am good.
Yeah, I like
and I think that's ultimately why I don't really do like do commission painting like on a professional level, because I don't retain that level of interest in painting. I enjoy painting, but my primary joy, I would say, is kit bashing. I don't mind painting, but to me it's an end goal. But I want to paint well. I want to paint well versed in the factions that I love. And at the end of the day, like I always see it as a double win, because if I'm painting my friends' factions, I know my level of standard and consistency, and I know they also want to do battle reports with us on my channel, so it just turns out that it's a win-win situation where it's like everyone wins. We get consistent, nicely painted armies, and they also get an army painted. And on the market, when I tell my friends like these are my prices, I would say like I'm expensive, but I'm not. But I'm probably one of the cheaper outlets out there, because I always just go, right, if it's just like a box of Space Marines, give or take with a little bit of upgrades, like say an upgrade sprue or something like that. I always just say, right, what's the box price of a Games Workshop like intercessor box? Right, double it. That's my price. Which is expensive, but it's also like compared to other painters out there, it's also quite cheap, because at the end of the day, I'm just doing this just to put a little bit of money into my savings for waiting for that rainy day kind of thing, or the inevitable day of when, like, say, Saboteur comes back in 40k and I'll want like 72 variants of them.
I gotcha. How are we for time? Oh, we have about... I'll probably hang around for another half hour or so.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Yes, just reading the... Did you see the video? Yes. I remember I did put a comment on that video just saying, you left the comments open? You brave, brave souls. Right, I need to paint some bits.
Let's get some blue on the flag. I think this flag needs a little contrast, just a touch. There's like mountains and I guess some sort of sun or moon or something on there, so.
Yeah, go for it. So I'll put some flesh on. That's nice. I am looking for brown in Curious leather. Curious of the leather. There it is.
I may live to regret this choice. We'll see. I didn't check if there's anything new on the Warhammer community website today. Do they usually drop stuff on Fridays?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few like the new Custodes, but they released another take of like the new Guard trailer with the return of Yarick. There's been a lot of chit and there's been a lot of chat around the ending of that article, and I'll leave it at that.
Enlighten me, because I haven't read the article. What's the TLDR?
The TLDR is that they know that people are asking for Steel Legion, the Armageddon Steel Legion. Why aren't they there? So basically what they did was say that, currently in law, they've been fighting for generations, so they're only a fraction of their former strength from, say, the First War. All right.
So
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, sorry. Go on. Continue.
Yeah. And then they then proceeded forward to show, by the way, you can paint Armageddon Steel Legion on a Krieger.
Well,
so
they are similarly dressed, right? Am I wrong? It's that without the gas mask? Is that the key difference?
I mean, it's a take. The angle they've came at it from was the very first Krieger was painted as from Armageddon Steel Legion, the metal pewters stuff from the supplement of Codex Armageddon. I mean, like, the guard community response has been I'm trying to say this diplomatically. You know Final Liberation, the 40k video game, the epic 40k video game, where Commissar Hulk whips out the las pistol and says, "Choose your next words with exceptional care." Yeah, that's kind of like the response that the Guard community have had. They want their Armageddon Steel Legion. They're not getting it. They are upsetty spaghetti.
I guess. I mean, I guess I can understand if they're so similar. Like, what is the key? Because they both have the longer coats. I'm drawing from memory here. The key difference is in the head, right?
Aesthetically, the key differences are they have different rebreathers. They are more, whilst Krieg is more based on a blend of being steampunk and dieselpunk with World War. Well, I would say steampunk and World War One. Armageddon Steel Legion are a lot more modern, and they're a lot more based around obviously World War Two and dieselpunk. And the aesthetics are different rebreathers, where the gas mask conjoined start little pack at the front. That's a lot different. Their way of warfare is also different. Like Krieg is the artillery regiment. They are the ones who throw down man for man kind of thing. Very World War One-esque in the trenches. Krieg is more the armored company. So again, like the Blitzkrieg Rush.
No, yeah. So regimental doctrine, like fighting doctrines aside, just in terms of using one product of infantry squad of Krieg as the Steel Legion, what would be the conversion work required to make a tasteful conversion? Is it just the head? Can you get away with a head swap? Change the paint scheme and a head swap. What I'm wondering is, could GW not just do an upgrade sprue? Yeah. What I'm trying to posit here.
It's right. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board of the computer and have a look at images. I want to say yes, but I feel as though like I'm gonna be chewed out for saying yes. So I'm gonna quickly check.
There's the point I'm trying to get to see if I can make is there's an argument for you can have your Steel Legion via an upgrade sprue. Like must you have the gods on Mount Olympus give you the boxes that say Steel Legion? Like, must you have that, or can you convert your way there? Can you express your army your way? Can you go third party? Can you have GW upgrade sprues? There seems to be many options. I just don't feel like you don't have the best spend of resources by making something so similar to something else, right? Like, again, outsider looking into the Guard lay of the land, I just think if you're going to make another infantry or regimental range within the Imperial Guard's product line, why not just do Catachan? I just feel like that's more, you get more out of that.
Yeah.
It's so similar. Like, Steel Legion and Krieg they're too similar, I think, to justify a whole nother SKU, right? A whole nother range of products.
I think it's a lot of investment. I think, like from Guard players are very invested, like how I am invested in my Night Lord. So
most Warhammer players have that level of investment, right? Like and obviously there is this. I think I mentioned it on my last stream. I hesitate to use the word parasocial, but it's something similar, or at least it strikes me similarly, that people in 40k have with their factions, right? You have this level of attachment, and it does feel good when GW, when the gods on Mount Olympus give you a Athan Shan, and you've collected Raven Guard for years, and you feel so fucking good, right? Like, I get it. I would 100%.
Look at my Nemesis clause. I get you. I'm way ahead of you.
Yeah. So that's my only point. Like, I think people should be aware of that, but obviously the fans cry for products, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it is, like, I agree with you. Like, admittedly, I think my view is rather tinted and skewed because I have a 3D printer and I just go, the scans online of the original models. And what's the best thing? Like, I've done this with an old Juan Diaz Chaplain model. Is if you've got a scan of a model, you can upscale it to be the current scale. It's what I did with the Chaplain Terminator model. The old 4th, 5th edition the white metal pewter Terminator Chaplain. That to me is the definitive Chaplain model. It just looks so good. It's perfectly reflective of Chaplain. I found a scan. I was like, hang on, if I just measure up like an actual Indomitus Terminator and just put the same measurements in, will I get the same scale? Turns out I did. And that's how I see like these guardsmen. It's like if they're if they look a bit small, get a scan, upscale it to like whatever the current dimensions are of like a current Kriegsman, because I'm guaranteed it'll be like a few millimeters at most, and then just glue them together and stick them down. Now, obviously, that's me saying like with 3D printer privileges, but that's why I'm saying like I am aware of my own bias here. Obviously, like there's the
people were converting before 3D printing, right? Like if you really if you really have the passion, you can go the third party bits, or you can even scratch build, green stuff your accessories the old way, where like they used to show in old White Dwarfs or even in old codexes, right? I'm just kind of like I guess what this is demonstrating is that I have a gut reaction to outcrying fans wanting product just for them when you have product that looks kind of similar, right? It would be like if you know what it would be like? It would be like if Space Wolves looked just like Space Marines, but they have lots of little fetishes and wolf paws and tails, wolf tail charms and talismans and all that kind of accoutrements, right? All those accessories. And then the Space Wolves fans were like, we need a whole range just for us. And I'm like, this is stupid. To me, right? Outsider looking in. I'm just like, if I'm going to let go of my earthly tethers and just look at like products and how different are they? Are they worth making something so similar to something else just so a particular group of collectors feel special? I just don't think it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, why must we have... We already have a lot of that in Space Marines. Like, we don't need to have that in Guard for Steel Legion and Krieg, excuse me, if you could have upgrade sprues or conversion kits or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay, yeah.
If you're gonna do an infantry squad, I just feel like Catachan, man. That's the move.
Yeah.
Bring back the guys in the jungle with their muscles.
Yeah. Make their muscles more proportioned.
Yeah, well, like the odd characters that we've seen over the years in plastic for the Catachan have looked so good. Like that would breathe like a kind of novelty into the Astra Militarum or into the Imperial Guard. Same thing, right? But it would breathe this kind of novelty into them, because then all of a sudden you have Commando and Rambo looking guys, Predator looking guys from the 80s, like these action heroes. You have action heroes. It would just feel so good. I think it would just it'd be so much better. I would lament to be in the timeline where GW does another round of a guard regiment, and it's Steel Legion right after Krieg.
Yeah.
I think Mordian can have a fresh look with their nice clean uniforms, looking great.
Oh yeah.
And I think Catachan would look good for the opposite reason, because they're in the dirty jungle, right? They look awesome.
Yeah, you play like Guns N' Roses soundtrack in the background. Absolutely, I totally get you. Absolutely. Like, Armageddon and Steel Legion aren't my first choice of regiments. I like them. I can definitely appreciate their aesthetic.
I think they're cool. I think they're cool.
I am definitely more. I love my Kriegsmen. I like learning about World War One more than World War Two. I like my aesthetics of the World War One aesthetic that the Krieg give out a lot more.
I think the Krieg have a stronger aesthetic. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I think if they're so similar, and Krieg has these like, yeah, I think they have a
Yeah.
stronger aesthetic. I think they have a stronger like culture in terms of like the theme. Like Cult of Sacrifice hits really well, right? Steel
Yeah.
Legion and their doctrines were typically like mobilized warfare. Like it's cool, and
Yeah.
they're fighting in their hive world, right? Or amongst the hives. I can't remember. I read the Guard Codex a while ago for like list builds and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, Krieg just feels strong. It's a super strong choice.
Yes, no, absolutely. Like, I think it's also that, but I think Games Workshop have always known there's been a demand for Plastic Krieg as well.
Yep,
I
well,
can't really say
they
much
were
for the
popular
others.
in Forge World, right? So
Yeah,
they had
they
the
were
data.
very popular for. Yeah, no, absolutely. They were very popular for their aesthetic in Forge World. Um, like even I wanted a Krieg army from the Forge World stuff, but yeah, 50 quid for 10 guys when they have to be like 300 of them on board. You're a funny one, James Woodward job. You're a funny one. Yes, but like say like as you've said before, there's alternates out there. I like say War Games Atlantic do a plastic set of not Steel Legion called I think it might be called the Roman Jaeger or something. Um, there's 3 printing bits. You can kit bash. Looking at the models for Krieg, comparison between Krieg and Armageddon Steel Legion. Armageddon Steel Legion are a lot more slicker, whilst the Kriegsmen are, I would say, in comparison, are a bit overdressed with details and such, whilst the Armageddon Steel Legion is a lot more sleeker in design. So kit bashing them, you'd have to take some very artistic liberties with them, and there's just some things that you're going to have to accept. Like the trench coat is going to be different on a Kriegsman, and you can't really get rid of that unless, because if you were, you're basically designing an entirely different model at that point. But like I say, like I think there's a place for them, but as you've said, I think that place is later down the line once they've got a few different aesthetics out there. Because, like I say, I think I can definitely see people. Cause I can definitely see. I've seen a lot of people ask for Vestroyans and Valhallans. I mean, I personally would like Mordians because, as you said, I like that crisp, clean, uniformed look.
It would just add novelty to like this
Yeah.
this range, right?
Yeah.
If you just did the Steel Legion right after Krieg, there's like it feels like more of the same. I know people
Yeah.
were triggered by that, but you have to call a spade when we're making the comparison between like your choice of Steel Legion, Catachan, or Mordian.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty obvious which ones look more unique relative to what we have.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a strong
think
position on that. I feel strongly about it.
Yeah. That's fair. Like for me, it's like I enjoy the aesthetics of play. Like I like the idea of Praetorians. I know they'll never come, which is why it's like I've got what I'm doing for my Praetorians is I've got 3D bits out STLs out there of Praetorian heads. I'm just going to stick them on Cadian bodies because I look at the Only War supplement. They had a modern picture of a modern Praetorian guardsman in there. And when you compare that to one of the new Cadians, they're very similar. Very similar. Like, if you were to change just the head, it'd be totally fine. So that's what I'm going to do for that. And they're going to be my mechanized armor. Krieg is just something that's like, I just have that inner workings of just going, right, fix those bayonets, get over the top, sell your lives away kind of thing. For a third choice, I can't really think of anything. Oh no, Tarax Guard. I'd love to do Tarax Guard. But I've always said, like, if I was doing Tarax Guard, I'd use them as Tempestus Scions. Because they're essentially a recruitment world for commissars that have somehow made a guard regiment there. So it literally is just like commissar hats. It's just basically commissar guardsmen.
That's a cool look. It's a cool aesthetic.
Yeah. It is, like I say, you can type it in on Google or something, just Tarax Guard. The only law they got mentioned outside of the third edition Guard Codex was in the Imperial Arm book, Raid of Castro Novum, where they basically blew out some orc resources with precision. But yes. The aesthetic of them are quite nice, but it's like, they drop in, they get the job done, they move out, kind of thing. It's like, well, isn't that what Tempest Assigns do? Stop playing as them. There we go.
No,
Plus, I am loath to paint another Tempestus Scion. I did a commission for a friend where I painted 20 of them, and I went, and this was back in my earlier days, I went full out on those 20 bodies. Like, I'm talking edge highlighting every strap.
They have so many accessories, those models.
Oh, yes. I still have nightmares of endlessly going through every strap on edge highlighting on like bleach bone from like washed down leathers and such. And I'm just sat there going like, that was madness. I would never want to paint another Scion ever again. Oh dear. Where is my paint? I wanted the steel. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Is this it? No, that's doing Death Black. Let's do Dwarven Iron, there we go. Oh, hello.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. I try not to like yuck the yum, you know, but
yeah,
sometimes I do think there's value in calling a spade when everyone's riding the wave. It's good for some to have that alternate point of view. Like,
yeah,
in particular, like I do feel like a little. I guess the word would be triggered, funnily enough.
Yeah.
By the the immediate love and adoration for Yarrick's return, because I feel like he didn't have to go away, you know, like
yes.
this is something we can all acknowledge. He didn't have to go away, and yet he did, and now to just praise GW, like the gods from Mount Olympus giving back Yarrick. I don't like that relationship, that customer and consumer relationship. Yeah. It does gross me out.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of I'm sure you felt this during 9th through 10th, the Chaos Lord with Jump Pack, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it feels very much like that. Like, why did you have to take this away? Oh, so then when you give it back, everyone can feel like it's such a good get. Like, and it's gross. Yeah.
I have always maintained that my relationship with Games Workshop is purely transactional. What I mean by that is that Games Workshop has a very forward mentality, and I've always been a little bit cynical of. Ever since I really stopped, I don't want to say stopped enjoying playing the game, ever since I really started understanding how competitive play worked in 5th edition onwards, I've always had a little bit of a cynical side when it comes to Games Workshop. And I will not, and I will pull my hands up and just go, yeah, that is just part of. I'm not going to tell you that's the right way or wrong way to think. But my opinion is especially from the days of like Drago Wing and such and all that malarkey. Games Workshop says we make the models, you buy them. My response is fine, that's great. You make the models I want you to make, and I will buy them. If they brought back 740k, I'd buy them.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't. All right then. I have a plethora of Night Lords STL bits, and I've got a plethora, and I mean, I'm kit bashing like essentially, someone who looks like General Grievous for Night Lords and such. I've always said like, if there's something that I want that you are not making, there is another person I will buy. Like I have commissioned two separate STL sculptors. One was a group commission with a group of people in the Night Lords Discord server, where we commissioned a sculptor to make Night Lords bodies. Proper like, and actually, hang on, I've got some here. Literally, these bodies are all 3D printed, but we all basically chipped in and basically got a sculptor to make those Night Lord bodies for us. There's more variants of styles. Like he did put it on for like commercial release, but he's also been slapped down twice by Games Workshop, so you can't really do them anymore. So basically, if you go to certain websites, you can still get them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It has to be whispered through ushered teeth and down the line kind of thing. But at the same time, I've put my money towards a sculptor to commission those for me. In another model that I've got, I wanted to make another Chaos Marine champion, but I couldn't. But he had one hand. It was from like the Shadow Spear box. One hand was a bolter because this was in the time of when Wargear costs points, and I was like, right, bolter doesn't cost points. I'm just going to leave him with bare bones. We had an arm outstretched, but I couldn't find anything that would be good for the outstretched arm. So I commissioned a sculptor to sculpt me basically a.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I commissioned him to sculpt me a fist that's basically ringed around the hairs of a severed Sisters of Head. Sisters of Battlehead.
No, I got you. Don't worry about
it. Sorry, I got myself there. Sisters of Head. Oh, careful there. I got myself there. Apologies. Yeah, but Sisters of Battlehead, where he's actually just like basically grabbed the hair and he's just showing it off, kind of thing. There was a time like with the Batman Miniatures game, I waited years and years and years for them to make a Scarecrow crew. I got tired of waiting, and I'm thinking, right, okay. Yes, it got to the point where they were making a cosplay Big Bang Theory crew over established characters, and I was just sat there going like, yeah, that's a thing, that's a whole saga, I won't get into it. I do have the STLs, I wish I didn't, but I do. I just got to a point where I was like, right, if you're not going to make this crew, I'm going to make this crew. So I commissioned the same sculptor to make me like a proper Scarecrow gang. I got myself some Photoshop, I got templates that the community made for like cards and such, and I made them into a proper thematic Scarecrow crew. I've got like, for like a big beat stick, I've got the Headless Horseman kind of thing, just called Dullahan. I made upgrades for Scarecrow where I can ride a horse called Gunpowder to match into like the Sleepy Hollow references, because Ichabod Crane's horse is named Gunpowder, as I found out because I did my Google research. And every character, every goo was named after a phobia as well. Any type of phobia you can think of, it was probably out there somewhere.
Right on. That sounds like an awesome project.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got the STLs, I just haven't released them anywhere, although I can. But that's just because you've got like the goons, which are just like how I imagined it was that Scarecrow's basically just like kidnapped a few like mental asylum patients from Arkham Asylum. So they all have in Batman, because it has like traits with mental disorders and such. So I gave them all mental disorders, and then I've got like officers for that crew being the Arkham Asylum doctors, but they're all dressed in like plague doctors coats and such, like the bird masks and all that. I've got like one guy who literally has like a cage full of crows, who just lets them out and just like sprays, and just like you can just like spawn out like crows everywhere kind of thing. I thought that was a good idea. I did all that, I put all that effort in, and then 2 months later they came up with an official Scarecrow crew, and I was like, it was worth it though. It was worth it.
You have something now that is uniquely yours, right?
Exactly.
And that's really why you should be doing those kind of hobby projects.
Yes. But it's like I say, like going back to my original point, I am willing to, like, if there's a will, there's a way. if I can find someone who's willing, I am more than happy to support local. Well, I wouldn't say local artists, but I'm willing to support artists who I feel is willing to do the work. That's why I said with Games Workshop, like when you make something I want, I will buy it. When they made Nemesis Claw, I bought I bought 3 boxes. I plan on buying a 4th box just for big apocalypse games, just so I can cram 40 Nemesis Claw guys into one single Mastodon for a Night Lord's Party bus. That's it. And I will keep on buying Nemesis Claw boxes just for bits. When it comes to the bodies, I'm just going to like build them up just as generic Chaos Marines. I'll paint them in, say, Red Corsairs colours or whatever I feel like. Make them into the squad of 10 of like basic bolters and stuff and just sell them off. There's a few I recently bought in STL where it's got marine arms ripping Cadians in half and all that, and like literally just grabbing them and just like ripping the heads off, the limbs and such. And I thought if I just get a few Night Lords of my Night Lord bodies or a few extra bodies and then just put Night Lord heads and shoulders on them, stick them on 40mm bases, they are now terraform markers. So when I'm using terraform, they're literally terraforming by doing what they do best.
Fun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little things like that. Oh dear. Where is my silver? I did make some silver. Yeah. Keep meaning to go back to those Scarecrow people since night models have seemingly like disappeared again. The community's now taken up the game to try and basically not change it, but just like make their own FAQ to make the game run smoother. So I've been on my mind thinking I really should get back to the Scarecrow stuff and reintegrate them into the official Scarecrow crew, and then just put the STLs online for people to download. The only reason I haven't is because the sculptor I was working with, when it comes to the Doctor's bird masks, what he's done is he's sculpted the face on and then just put the mask over it, which sounds fine in theory, but it's hollow. The issue that with it being hollow is that when it's printing, it has the chance of trapping liquid resin inside the hollow mask.
That's bad.
Which over time can split, crack, and then obviously gooey resin goes everywhere. The last thing you and your opponent want is, I move my guy 5 inches, moving forward, and then his face explodes all over yours and your opponent's model. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a bit of a feels bad.
So that's why I've never really released them. But I have came to the conclusion where it's like, I've got a friend who does Blender. I'm going to ask them if I can spend some time with them, if they can show me how to fix that mistake. Because I've tried asking the guy, but it's one of those ones where he's a Spanish sculptor, so the language barrier is quite hard to try and like talk with them to try and say, look, this is the problem. Because I've tried like 3 times. It's just like, well, okay. I see, I bought what I got, and I'm fine with it. I'll just have to fix it myself. And I'm okay with that. I've made my peace with that, you know what I mean?
Right. It's a good policy. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it means I learn another skill for the hobby. Blender. Because I know I've got this friend who does their own little 3D projects. Their current project is they are kit bashing the modern digital kit bashing the modern Cadian stuff, like heads and such, into Morbian 21st and Morbian 6th from Darktide. So they look like they came straight out of like the Darktide video game, which I think is a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to seeing more progress on that as well.
just applying some wash onto all this white, all these white components I've been painting over this stream. Which isn't glamorous, but I think it has a good effect. Okay, well, we've crossed the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to begin the cleanup sequence. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm feeling rather hungry. I'm due for some dinner.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do.
We'll probably hang out for like 5 minutes or so, clean up.
That's fair. I am just continuous steelwork. Like, I'm just taking my own pace. I want to paint heroes now. Next week I'll have to focus on Mastodon tanks, but this week, this right now is
Plural.
just me painting
So
some
funny.
heroes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mastodon tanks. Here I thought I had something impressive with multiple repulsors. Multiple mastodons. Jeez. That's cool, dude.
Yeah. I was a madman for doing it, but especially getting them all printed out and built within a month. I was a madman. What can I say? It's like I keep saying to my friends, it's like I'm still trying to build up like 120 Kriegsman bodies because I want 120 bodies on the board.
Oh, it's certainly fanatic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My friend just turned around and said, "Yeah, you want to do it because you're clinically crazy." I'm like, yeah, this is fun, but it's like I've got some Tyranids, and I got them because of Leviathan and Combat Patrol, the box set and the Combat Patrol magazines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sat there going like, I've got a ton of bugs here. It would be nice to play like a 4th edition style list where it is like, here's a Hive Tyrant, here's some Screamer Killers, instead of like Carnifexes, not standard Carnifexes, and then just swarms of bugs everywhere.
It's the coolest.
It
is the coolest.
Yeah, I want to paint them as Starship Troopers bugs from the Duncan Rhodes paint tutorial. Like, I want to feel like that Starship Troopers. I want to give the Starship Troopers experience to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not an army I'm inherently attached to, but I think just throwing down a swarm of bugs, doesn't matter if they get ripped up or whatever, send them out and just like make a load of cheesy quotes.
Oh, it's awesome. Look,
I'm doing my part.
I have a buddy who has a similar Tyranids army to what you're describing, and I describe it like it's almost like a community service for the club because it's so much effort to play it Swarm and to buy more and to paint more and then to just manage on the tabletop. So you're kind of doing it for your opponent in a way, especially so if it's not very competitive, depending on the rules of the time, right? And in any case, I think it's awesome because you often don't see Swarm because it's just not the most user-friendly. Yeah. But I think that's like you said, third edition, classic. It feels very classic Tyranids. It warms my heart to see.
Yeah, indeed. Like it's the Swarm. You see it, and it's spectacle. As we said before, the rule of cool. Like that. It is the epitome of rule of cool. I don't care if I get blasted apart. I just want to send down droves and droves and droves just for the sheer hilarity of it.
I get you. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up shortly. Let's see here. This is the update on these little Stormcast sword guys. I can't remember what they're called because I barely play Age of Sigmar, but they're the great sword wielding infantry unit, and they're coming together slowly but surely. Better with their white capes, which are now washed, and a little bit of face painting today on this guy. He looks pretty cool. Definitely good. Not a great face close up, but It's a very adequate face, I think, at table distance. Has
Yeah.
pretty good readability when I do the whole arm's length test.
Yeah.
Did you have any updates to share? Any progress to demonstrate from the
Like
efforts
say,
of
like
today?
I like say I've just been painting because something that got me about this specific model that I'm painting is that there's a lot of metal work on this, more than the trim work, which surprised me for once. But like I say, it's all part just enjoying the experience of painting. I'm not racing or doing much. I know I've made a lot of mistakes around the kit, but these are easy mistakes to cover up because it is just like trying to paint every individual stitch. Nah, I'll just repaint over my mistakes. But like I say, like this is just a standard jump lord. I probably could, because it's a bit of both, bit of 40k and heresy. I could probably tie it in for two. Tie it in for both games if I want to go back. Well, if I want to play heresy. So I think he's doing a very stellar job. I cannot wait to finish painting them. And like I say, I did Corax as his base, and I also gave him bats, which I will show on the thing now. These there. I did a lot of the work around the base, sticking all those sisters on, the little impaled body by Rhubarb, by Rhubarb, sorry. And then I've obviously, as you can see, I've stuck some bats onto his wing, so that shows his little pet, basically, the Not Huron's little pet. And now he looks very less. He looks less. I don't want to say lonely in a sentimental way, but in terms of like composition with all the dead bodies around it, the 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 model feels a lot more together and a lot more well composed. It has an even better aura because it has all those bits around him, and like I say, the bats just really sell it. It adds a little bit more busyness to the model, which I quite like, and I really do quite like those bats.
Right on. Yeah, look, it's coming together well from what I can tell.
Yeah,
but,
thank you.
But folks, I think we are. I don't think. Definitely wrapping up. Thanks for tuning in and sharing in the hobby camaraderie. And we'll probably be back again next time. So I will catch you all in the next one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Warpforge. Take care.
You can check out Warpforge's YouTube channel at Warpforge, the Warpforge.
No worries, thank you. Like I say, hopefully more videos in the future.